guys, this is the graveyard, okay? And this graveyard actually belongs to Kent Mack now. The people that were buried here were buried, most of them back in the 1800s. A lot of them were alive when Abe Lincoln was alive. A lot of the graves are of children. The kids were buried here. They didn't have great health care back in the 1800s, and if you got sick, they didn't have antibiotics. You know, like now you get your finger cut, you put antibiotic ointment on it, and it clears up. They didn't know about that. So people would get infections, and they just die from it. In the Civil War, you might have seen pictures of all those Civil War vets that had their arms and legs cut off. That wasn't from battle. The doctors cut the arms and legs off. Surgeons did. Because that was the only way they knew to fight infection. So a few people in here lived a really long time, like in the, up into their 80s and 90s. Most of them died young back then. The graves, some of them have markers on them. Some of them had more money and they got bigger markers. But some of them didn't have hardly any money, and they're buried just with a brick or a board. There's not even a name on it. A lady who's descended from a lot of these people is a friend of mine, and she's going to get me a list of them and a little chart. And we're going to try to put up some more nameplates to mark who these people were. But that one with the lamb on it over there in front of Bill, that one was a child, and this one was buried there. One of them in those little metal plaques says twin girls, no name. A lot of children, died before their first birthday. So it was a lot harder time back then. And what's the oldest person any of y'all know? Anybody know anybody that's 90 years old?
Yes.
Anybody ever know anybody was 100 years old? Somebody was 100 years old was born in 1913. Okay? So when they were 10 years old in 1923, about like y'all's age, if they had somebody then that was 100 years old, that person would have been born in 1823. So right now, you are only 2 people away from Abe Lincoln. You know what I mean? You could know somebody that knew somebody that knew Abe Lincoln. So our country's not as old as it sounds like sometimes. It's really pretty young as far as countries go. The folks that were buried here lived up in the mountains. When they died, they just dug a hole out here in the ground and maybe made a pine dock. Some of them just wrapped the people in blankets and put them in the ground like that. They rode right up here where we are on horses and buggies and wagons, and they had funerals, and it was a sad occasion. And this was part of their life. And now it's just a graveyard kind of in the middle of nowhere. And nobody ever comes here but us. When I was your age, I remember coming out here and there'd be flowers on the grave. Because people that were alive then knew who these people were. And now those people have passed on, and there's not anybody here really paying much attention to them anymore. So it's kind of a graveyard out here in the woods. And it's not something that anybody really knows much about. The only people that really come visit it is us. In the 4-week term, we got a camp out spot that Bob Jean built right over there. And the guys in B0, any of y'all in B0? All right, if you were in B0 in the 4-week term, you'd be coming out here and spending the night out here right next to the graveyard. So would you like to do that, or would that sound kind of scary? That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it? It'd be kind of scary, though, sleeping right there next to the graveyard. Y'all know why they put fences around graveyards? Why? People are just dying to get in there. You know why they don't? You know why the gate on the graveyard isn't locked? There's nobody in there trying to leave. You know how many people are buried in that graveyard? All of them. All of them. You know who's buried in that graveyard? Dead people. You know why you're supposed to hold your breath when you go past the graveyard? Not polite to breathe around people who can't. And do you know what killed all those people in that graveyard? They all died laughing at my graveyard jokes. So now y'all have to be careful. Sometimes people are laughing so hard when I get through telling my graveyard jokes that people like fall off their horses and stuff, you know. So I have to make sure it's safe to proceed. So have y'all calmed down enough after my graveyard jokes to be able to ride now? You sure? Nobody has any like built up laughter, it's just gonna come bursting out and knock you off the horse? Y'all are okay? You're absolutely fine. Alright? Alright, let's say this. If it's safe to proceed, we'll go on.